Ladies, can I be really honest with you today? There are things no one ever tells us as we get older, things that might make us feel embarrassed, but shouldn't. Like how sometimes our bodies can send off smells that we don't even notice ourselves. And it's not because we're not clean or because we're careless. It's because of tiny silent mistakes that sneak into our routines as the years go by. I know, because I made them too. And it wasn't until someone close to me gave me that little wrinkled nose look that I realized something had to change. You see, staying fresh, feeling confident, and holding on to that elegant, dignified version of ourselves isn't about fighting age. It's about understanding it. And that starts with conversations like this one. So let's talk about the small habits that can make a big difference, the ones no one warned us about. And I promise, by the end of this video, you'll see how easy it can be to feel like yourself again, only fresher, lighter, and more radiant than ever. Let's get into it. 1. The scent of sleep, the silent culprit. I used to think that nighttime was the one time of day I could just let everything go. No makeup, no tight clothes, no fuss, just me, my favorite old flannel nightgown, and my cozy bed. It was my little sanctuary, that nightgown. I had worn it through more winters than I could count. It had this perfect softness, like it was hugging me back after a long day, and in a way, it felt like part of me. I never gave it a second thought. Until one morning, my oldest friend from college came to visit. She stayed the night. We stayed up chatting like we were 20 again, laughing until we fell asleep. But the next morning, as we were having our coffee, she leaned in gently with that careful, loving tone only a lifelong friend can pull off and said, "Hey, do you ever switch out your pillowcases more often? There's kind of a musty smell." She said it with a smile, but I could feel the warmth drain from my face. I was mortified. But you know what? She was right. I had gotten too comfortable, literally. I had forgotten that even when we sleep, our bodies don't stop working. In fact, for some of us, especially post-menopause, our bodies work overtime at night. We sweat more, our skin sheds, our bodies release oils, and we do it all in the same pajamas, the same sheets, night after night. And here's the thing no one told me. As we age, our skin doesn't bounce back the way it used to. It holds on to things longer, including odors. Doctors say that the average person sheds about 1.5 grams of skin every night. That's enough to feed millions of dust mites. Not a pretty thought, I know, but it's the truth. And for us women over 60, our skin is thinner, more delicate, and yes, more prone to holding on to moisture and bacteria. I used to tell myself, well, I'm clean when I go to bed, so what's the harm? But now I know. The harm is in the slow buildup. Every night, your pajamas, your sheets, your pillowcases soak up little bits of you. Breath, drool, night sweats. We all do it. And over time, that cozy, familiar softness turns into a breeding ground for bacteria and odors that cling to you even after you shower the next morning. Once I realized that, I made a simple change. I got 2 full sets of sheets, one in the wash, one on the bed. No excuses. I switched them every week, and I made myself a rule. Pajamas never go past 2 nights in a row, especially in summer. And you know what? Not only did I sleep better, but I woke up feeling fresher, lighter. No more musty smells clinging to my neckline or pillow. Oh, and one last trick I learned from my grandmother, who always had the freshest smelling bed in the world. Sprinkle a little baking soda on your mattress once a month. Let it sit for an hour, then vacuum it up. It absorbs odors like magic. Ladies, I get it. We're at an age where comfort is precious, but comfort shouldn't mean letting go of dignity. Because how we smell when we wake up, it carries into our day more than we realize. And speaking of carrying into our day, let's talk about something that surprised me even more. The mistake I made for years that turned me into a walking fragrance department, and how I finally learned to stop hiding behind perfume. I'll tell you all about that in just a moment. 2. Overdoing Perfume, the hidden trap. I have to confess something that makes me chuckle now, but back then I was dead serious about it. For most of my adult life, I was known as the perfume lady. I had my signature scent, Chanel number 5. I wore it religiously since my 20s. That little glass bottle with the gold cap sat right on my dresser, like a tiny trophy. To me, it was more than perfume. It was identity. It was elegance. It was me. But somewhere along the way, I crossed a line, and I didn't even see it. You see, in my 40s and even early 50s, that perfume blended beautifully with my skin. It smelled floral, feminine, soft. But as I hit my 60s, something shifted. I remember the day like it was yesterday. I was at a church luncheon wearing my usual spritz, or maybe 3, and my dear neighbor, bless her, leaned in for a hug and gave me that polite, tight-lipped smile. You know the one. Her eyes watered just a bit, and she said as gently as she could, "You're wearing quite a bit of perfume today, aren't you?" That was my wake-up call. At first I was embarrassed, then defensive. Well, if I can't smell it, maybe no one else can either, I told myself. But that's the trap, isn't it? As we age, our noses get used to the scents we wear daily. We stop noticing them. But the people around us? Oh, they notice, especially grandchildren. Their little noses are like scent detectives. What I didn't realize until I spoke to my dermatologist is that as we get older, our body chemistry changes, thanks to menopause, medications, even our diet. The same perfume that once smelled heavenly on me now turned a bit sour, heavy, almost musty. And worse, when I used perfume to cover up other odors, it didn't neutralize the smell. It mingled with it, creating a complex, confusing, and, let's be honest, not so pleasant cloud that followed me everywhere. So what did I do? Well, first I cried a little, then I made a change. These days, I keep things simple. I switched to a light, alcohol-free body mist, only for special occasions, and my everyday routine, I focus on staying clean rather than masking anything. I even keep a little pouch of unscented baby wipes in my purse. Not for babies, just for me. If I'm out running errands and feel like I might be getting a little ripe, I excuse myself, do a quick refresh under my arms, neck, and hands. And let me tell you, I feel fresh and confident without that overwhelming fog of fragrance. Because here's the thing, ladies, clean will always smell better than anything in a bottle. And elegance isn't about how strong your perfume is. It's about how you carry yourself. Light, graceful, effortless. And speaking of effortless, there's one place we often forget entirely when it comes to staying fresh, and it can betray us in the worst way. It's something we literally carry with us all day long, our shoes. And what I learned about them will surprise you. Let's talk about that next. 3. Our shoes. The hidden smell trap. I'll admit something to you. And maybe you can relate. There was a stretch in my early 70s when I pretty much lived in one pair of orthopedic sandals. They were so comfortable. They fit like they were molded just for me. Perfect arch support, easy to slip on and off. Honestly, they felt like an old friend. I wore them everywhere, the garden, the grocery store, even around the house. And then, one day, I walked past the entryway and caught a whiff of something. Off. At first, I blamed the grandkids, then the dog. Maybe a forgotten bag of groceries? Nope. It was my shoes, or more precisely, the insides of my shoes. You see, I had never even thought about cleaning the inside of my shoes. I mean, why would I? I cleaned my floors, I vacuumed, but the shoes? I just put them on, day after day. What no one ever told me is that our feet change as we age. Circulation shifts, sweat glands behave differently, and certain medications can even make foot odor more intense. And to make matters worse, our sense of smell dulls just a bit as we get older, which means even when our shoes start to smell, we might not even notice it, but everyone else will. That's the hard truth. But here's the good news. Once you know, you can fix it. I learned that most shoes, even those pricey orthopedic ones, are washable. or at the very least, the insoles can be removed and cleaned. Now, I make it a point to air out my shoes in the sun at least once a week. I sprinkle a little baking soda inside overnight, and I always alternate pairs. No more wearing the same shoes every single day. Oh, and here's a little trick I picked up from a friend in my knitting group. Place a couple of dry black tea bags inside your shoes overnight. They absorb moisture and odor naturally, and it's way cheaper than those fancy sprays from the store. Plus, you can always use the tea for a foot soak afterward. And one more tip that changed everything for me. Always wear socks or footies, even with slip-on shoes. That tiny bit of fabric makes a huge difference in keeping sweat from soaking into the lining. Ladies, I used to think that musty smell that followed me into the living room was just part of getting older. But I was wrong. Most of the time, that smell wasn't coming from me. It was coming from what was on my feet. And if you're wondering, what's the next silent mistake that might be clinging to you without you knowing? Well, let's just say it's something we use every day but rarely, if ever, clean. And once I tell you about it, you might never look at your hairbrush the same way again. Stay with me. 4. Hair accessories and underarm care, the overlooked zones. Now, let me ask you something and be honest. When was the last time you cleaned your hairbrush? Or that old scrunchie you keep in your purse for emergencies? For me, it had been, well, longer than I care to admit. I'll never forget the day I finally gave my favorite burgundy velvet scrunchie a good sniff. I almost dropped it. I'd bought it years ago at a little market in Italy, and I adored it. It was soft, elegant, and made me feel a little more polished even on lazy days. But what I didn't realize was that every time I wrapped it around my hair, I was reintroducing old oils, hairspray, and, let's be real, sweat right back onto my clean scalp. You see, I always thought washing my hair was enough, but I never stopped to think about the tools I was using afterward. Over time, our brushes, combs, scrunchies, and headbands collect everything we try to wash away. Dead skin cells, dandruff, hair oils, even bits of product buildup like dry shampoo or gel. And they don't just sit there harmlessly. They rub right back onto our scalp day after day, and eventually, they start to smell. One day, my scalp started itching more than usual. My pillowcases smelled a little off. I chalked it up to age, hormones, maybe even the weather, but it wasn't until I sniffed that scrunchie up close that I realized it was the culprit. And suddenly, it all made sense. So here's what I started doing. I created a little ritual. Every Sunday, along with my laundry, I toss all my hair accessories, scrunchies, headbands, fabric clips, into a small mesh laundry bag and give them a gentle cycle wash. For my brushes, I pull out the trapped hair once a week, then soak them in warm water with a bit of gentle shampoo and baking soda for about 30 minutes. A quick scrub with an old toothbrush. Rinse and dry thoroughly. The result? No more weird scalp smells. No more itchy forehead. And best of all, my hair stays fresher, longer between washes. And let's not forget about underarm care. Now, this one shocked me when I first learned it from my dermatologist. I had always assumed that soap and water were enough, but she explained that deodorant, especially the long-lasting ones we favor as we age, doesn't always wash away completely. Over time, it builds up into a sticky film that traps odor. Even if you shower daily, that buildup lingers under the surface. So now I gently exfoliate my underarms 2 to 3 times a week with a soft cloth or gentle scrub. Nothing harsh, just enough to remove old deodorant, dead skin, and bacteria. The first time I did it, let's just say the washcloth turned a little gray. And I was horrified at what I'd been missing. And trust me, ladies, that simple habit made me feel fresher, cleaner, and quite honestly, more confident, especially in the summer. It's the little things, right? The things we never think about until someone points them out. And speaking of little things that make a big difference, wait until I tell you about the silent mistake that hides in the very place we feel the most safe. Our own beds. That's coming up next, and it might just surprise you. 5. The bedroom mistakes, where comfort turns into odor. There's something about our bedrooms, isn't there? They're our safe space, the one place where we can be completely ourselves. And for years, I thought that because it was my space, I didn't need to fuss so much over little things like how often I change my sheets or wash my nightgown. I had this old flannel nightgown. Oh, I loved it to pieces. It was soft, familiar, with a little faded floral pattern. It felt like a warm hug on those long, cold winter nights. And to be honest, I wore it almost every night for years. I told myself, why not? It's just me here. I'm clean when I put it on, so it's fine. But let me tell you, it wasn't fine. One winter, my friend Maggie came to stay with me for a few days. She's the kind of friend who will tell you the truth even when you don't want to hear it. After the first night over breakfast, she gently asked, "Do you ever think about washing your pillowcases? Maybe more than once a month?" She said it so kindly, but it hit me right in the heart. I was mortified, but deep down, I knew she was right. I had gotten comfortable, too comfortable. What I forgot was that even when we sleep, our bodies are hard at work. We sweat, we toss, we turn, we drool. Yes, even us ladies do it. Our skin sheds, our breath leaves behind moisture on our pillowcases. And under those cozy blankets, we create the perfect little sauna for bacteria and odor to grow. Doctors say that your sheets should be washed at least once a week. Pajamas every 2 or 3 wears, especially in the summer months. And as much as I used to resist that advice, I can tell you now from experience, they're right. Once I started keeping 2 sets of sheets on rotation, one on the bed, one in the wash, and kept a few fresh PJ sets folded in my dresser, something shifted. I slept better. My skin looked healthier. I woke up without that musty, sour smell clinging to my neckline. And here's a tip that came from my grandmother, who always had the cleanest, freshest smelling house on the block. Sprinkle a little baking soda on your mattress once a month. Let it sit for an hour, then vacuum it up. It keeps everything fresher and helps absorb odors naturally. And don't forget about your actual pillows. I wash mine twice a year, and let me tell you, the first time I did it, the water turned, well, let's just say it was eye-opening. Now, I never skip it. Ladies, aging is beautiful. But it doesn't mean we have to give up on feeling fresh, clean, and dignified. Because how we take care of ourselves when no one's watching, that's the foundation of how we feel when we step out into the world. And speaking of stepping out into the world, before we wrap up today, I want to share one final thought. It's about fragrance, but not the kind that comes from a bottle. It's about the scent of memories, of dignity, of self-love, and how we, as women, can choose what scent we leave behind for others to remember us by. Stay with me, because this might be the most important part of all. 6. The scent of dignity. Leaving a legacy of elegance. You know, when I think back on the women who shaped me, my mother, my grandmother, my aunts, there's something that lingers longer than their words, longer than their advice. It's their scent. My grandmother, for instance, didn't wear expensive perfume. She didn't need to. She smelled like freshly laundered sheets, a touch of lavender powder and home-baked bread. That was her signature scent. And to this day, whenever I catch a whiff of lavender, it takes me right back to those summer afternoons, sitting on her porch, feeling safe, loved, and cared for. That's the kind of scent I want to leave behind, not something that overwhelms a room or clings awkwardly to people's clothes after a hug, but a subtle, clean, comforting scent that makes people smile when they think of me. And that's what this entire journey is really about, isn't it? It's not about chasing youth or covering up who we are. It's about honoring ourselves, our bodies, our spaces, and the people around us with the same grace and care we've spent a lifetime giving to others. Because aging doesn't mean giving up on elegance. In fact, I believe it's an opportunity to refine it, to embrace simplicity, clean, fresh skin, soft, cared-for fabrics, a home that smells like warmth, not neglect, and it's never too late to start. These small habits we've talked about today, They aren't chores. They're little acts of self-respect, and they ripple outward. When you feel clean, fresh, and dignified, it changes how you stand, how you smile, how you move through the world. So ladies, let me leave you with this. What scent do you want to be remembered by? What scent will your grandchildren, your friends, your neighbors associate with you? Will it be soft cotton, fresh air, a gentle touch of lavender? Or will it be something you never intended? You get to choose, and the beautiful thing is, it starts today. It starts with you. If this video spoke to you, I would love to hear about the scent that reminds you of your youth. Share it in the comments below. Let's create a space where we can celebrate those little sensory memories that connect us across generations. And don't forget, if you'd like more gentle, uplifting tips for aging gracefully, you can join my free newsletter. The link is right below. It's my little love letter to women like us who believe dignity, beauty, and elegance never go out of style. Take care of yourself and each other. I'll see you in the next one. 7. Beyond clean. How smell connects us to life and love. You know, after all the practical steps we've talked about today, I realized something even more powerful. Smell isn't just about hygiene. It's about connection. It's about memories. It's about the invisible thread that ties us to the people we love, to the moments that shaped us, to the homes we built. I remember when my husband passed away. For months afterward, I kept his favorite sweater hanging in the closet. Not because I needed the sweater, but because it still held his scent. That soft blend of aftershave, laundry soap, and something that was just him. That scent gave me comfort when nothing else could. It reminded me that love doesn't fade just because someone is no longer in the room. And I realized then, more than ever, that the way we smell, the way we care for our spaces, our clothes, our bodies, isn't about vanity. It's about legacy. It's about creating comfort for ourselves and for the people who will remember us. So I want to invite you to think about this. What scent do you want to leave behind in the memories of those who love you? Maybe it's fresh baked cookies. Maybe it's the lavender sachet you tuck into your dresser drawers. Maybe it's the clean softness of cotton sheets. Or maybe it's simply the scent of a hug that makes someone feel safe. That's the real secret to aging with grace and dignity. Not just looking fresh, but leaving behind the kind of warmth that lingers long after we leave the room. So today, as you fold your sheets, wash your favorite nightgown, air out your shoes, or gently clean your hairbrush. Do it with love. For yourself, for the people you care about, for the beautiful, elegant, radiant woman you are and always will be. And remember, ladies, we may not control how many candles are on our birthday cake, but we can always choose the fragrance we leave behind. Thank you for spending this time with me today. You are seen, you are valued, and you are beautiful, inside and out. So, my dear friends, what I hope you take away from our time together today is this. Aging is not something to fear. It's something to embrace. But embracing it doesn't mean letting go of the little things that make us feel like ourselves. The clean sheets, the soft scent of a favorite lotion, the dignity of knowing that yes, we still deserve to feel fresh, radiant, and confident every single day. You see, these small habits we've talked about aren't just about hygiene. They're about honoring yourself. They're about showing up for the woman in the mirror with the same kindness, attention, and love you've spent a lifetime giving to everyone else, because you are worth it. And I know, sometimes, when life gets quiet, when the days feel slower, it's easy to forget that. But I'm here to remind you, your presence, your scent, your spirit, it matters more than you know. And if this video made you smile, made you think, made you remember a scent that takes you back to a happy place, I'd love to hear about it. Share your story in the comments. Let's create a circle of memories, of wisdom, of women who are choosing to age not just with grace, but with joy, humor, and a touch of elegance. And if you'd like more gentle reminders like this, I invite you to join my free newsletter. It's filled with weekly letters just for women like us who know that dignity and beauty never go out of style. Until next time, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and remember, you're still writing your story. Make it one that smells like love.